Are you considering buying the top-of-the-line 2020 13-inch MacBook Pro? Watch this first. All right, so stay with me here. I want to go through and show you why you may not want to buy that model. So let's say you're going to go out and buy the 2020 13-inch MacBook Pro, and you have your heart set on that, but you want the higher model. There's a couple different models. Let's start with the base. So the base model is $1299, and that's a pretty good value. It's still expensive, you know, with the Apple tax and everything else, but for $1299, you're still kind of around that, you know, hopefully on sale. You can get it on sale. Maybe you're going to be $1199 somewhere in there. That's a pretty good value for a MacBook Pro. Let's remove that one and let's go move up to the next one. So if you're thinking about buying that 2020 13-inch that starts at $1799, it has the 4 ports on it, and it has you know, the 4 USB ports and things like that, so you know you're in that model. That's the model you have to be very careful with. That model starts at $1799, and I'm going to price it out here. You know, you can jump up a little bit higher than that even. And when you start getting into that territory, you know, you're around the 16-inch pricing for the base model. And is it a good idea to buy, you know, the 13-inch or the 16-inch? Now, one thing, and I'm going to go through and show you kind of what I mean here. I did find some sales just today, and they're not going to be available when you watch this, so don't hold me to it. I'm definitely going to have some links to these things in my description. You can click on them, but I mean, these sales probably won't be going on. They're going to be changing, but it does show you what this, you know, how close of a price we can get between these two. So that raises the question: should you really buy this upper class, I guess, you know, 2020 13-inch? The one question, you know, you can't change, or the one thing you can't change about it is size. So if size is a big issue for you, if you can only carry that for some reason, you only have a backpack big enough, or you don't want to lug it around, or you got to walk 10 miles to work uphill every day, then you really don't want to, you know, buy the 16-inch because it's a lot heavier. But if you don't really care that much about size and you're really looking at, you know, just buying the best MacBook out there, let's say you're a video editor, you do photo editing, or even just, you know, you just want a fast system, you know, should you be buying the 13-inch 2020, the top line model, or should you be really concentrating on the 16-inch base model? And what I'm going to show you here in a second is going to probably surprise you. We'll go through a couple little benchmarks and stuff just to show you the differences, but the price is pretty surprising. I found some deals online. Again, these deals won't be available, but it's going to show you what's available today. They might even go lower one day, and it's going to even become closer. So just want to show people, you know, what's available, what's out there, and you know, I want you to make the best choice when purchasing your MacBook Pro, because it's so expensive to buy them. All right, so let me tell you why I think the 16-inch is going to be a better value. So let's just assume that you have your heart set on the 13-inch, the 2020 13-inch that starts at $1799 right here. You can see it does come with a 10th generation Intel Core i5, has 16 gigs of RAM, and it's going to be faster RAM, 3733, and a 512 gigabyte storage. So take a look at this one. So this one's going to be $1799. If we click on this, and let's just say we want to upgrade to an i7 because we want the i7. Once we do that, we're going to be in the territory of about $2,000. See right here, down here, $2,000. So that's with the i7, 512 gigs and 16 gigs of RAM. So let's go back. Now, without a sale, you're at $2,000. If you go to the 16-inch here, take a look. It's going to be around $23.99, and you do get a 9th generation, a little bit less generation, but an i7 as well. You know, you get the Turbo Boost, you get the 16 gigs of RAM, a little bit slower RAM, and you get a 512 gigabyte SSD. The big difference here, if you're a video editor or anything else, is going to be this Radeon Pro 5300M with 4 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, so that's going to be a substantial upgrade. And it's $23, so you're at $400 more. So $400 is a considerable amount of money, but let's go ahead and see what we can really get this for. Now, what I wanted to show people is, you know, I went out and looked at for sales. What can we get this, really, the 16-inch? What's it actually selling for? Is it selling for $23.99? What I found was, you know, I went and I found the best sale, and this is not going to be available if you're watching this later, but this will show you probably what is available. Take a look at this. So this is the 16-inch MacBook Pro. So it's going to be the 2019 model. Same one I just kind of went through there with the Radeon Pro 5300. It's going to be $2,099. And what I told you with the 2020 13-inch with the i7 is about $2,000. So it's $99 more. That's it, $99 more. You get the better screen, a way bigger screen, no bezels. You also get the faster GPU, which is a huge thing for video editing and things like that. So size really is the only thing that makes a difference there. Even at Amazon right now, this is $21.99. I'll have links to all this stuff. The sale will probably change at the other site, but you might be able to price compare. But it's $21.99 at Amazon. So it's, you know, that other place, I'm going to go back here, is Tiger Direct Business. That's just at $2,099. That's the cheapest I found it yet. And, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, that's a really, really, really good price. But there's also another thing you want to consider as well. If you go back over here, if you go, this is a good store that you can shop all different type of Mac products at. It's called Other World Computing, and they actually have a refurbished one, but this is now, you're going to be taking the risk with the keyboard here, but this is basically a 15-inch 2019, so mid 2019, 15-inch MacBook Pro. So it's before the 16-inch, but it was only last year. And it's going to have 16 gigs of memory, only a 256 gigabyte, SSD, but it does have an upgraded, graphics, 630 and AMD Radeon Pro 555X with 4 gigabytes. So that's actually going to be an upgraded card as well. And this is only $1749 for a 15-inch. Now, again, you're going to have to deal with the keyboard, and this is like new. It says like brand new. It's probably never been used, but it is supposedly refurbished, like new refurbished. But still, that's going to be almost $300 less than the 13-inch. So you got to consider that. I'll have a link to this as well. You have to consider this, at any time that you actually are doing anything like this, you have to consider these type of things because, you want to make the best purchase. And, with the keyboard, though, that's a major thing you got to think about before buying this one. And then the last thing I wanted to go through really quickly is just the Geekbench 5 scores. And if you look up here, so the 2020 13-inch is what, the one we were talking about that's, goes up to $2,000. It's basically going to benchmark, I think it's around 1,000 for the single core, and it's like 45 something for the dual core or the multi-core. This is Geekbench 5, mind you, not Geekbench 4, but Geekbench 5. If you go down to the one that we're talking about, that I think is the best value, you can see there's a considerable difference here in multi-core. Single core is very similar, but even the 2019 model 15-inch, which we talked about, which was only 17 something, is actually, the multi-core is a lot more than the 13-inch here. You can see the comparison, and it's a little bit more on the single core. They're all very similar single cores, but the dual core, multi-core scores in Geekbench 5 is, considerable difference here. It's not as good as the 16-inch, but the 15-inch is, not that much far behind. So at the end of the day, what's the best decision? It really comes down to your pocketbook and also the risks you're willing to take. And I just wanted to make sure I open up people's eyes with that. All right, so what did you think? At the end of the day, like I always like to say, you can look at a lot of different units out there and you have to compare what the cost is, you have to compare the size, you have to compare the features. But this is a pretty eye-opening, example of, sometimes you concentrate on one model and then you basically don't even look at the other one. But when you put them two together side by side, you get a lot more for about the same amount of money when you go with the 16-inch. That's just my philosophy on this. If you're into video editing and if you even do any type of light stuff that's going to be a little bit more taxing than just word processing, a lot of times that extra power can come in handy, especially with looking at 4 maybe 5K videos in the future. Just things that are going to be a lot snappier on YouTube even. So when you're talking about the same price or really close to the same price, I think the best decision is the 16-inch. But again, everyone has to make up their own decision. If the size is the only thing that matters, then that's obviously you can't change that. And the 13-inch is for you. But if you're really kind of considering both, I think the 16-inch is right now the best deal. And they all have the new keyboard, so you can't complain there. And then on top of it, there's even that other model I showed you that's actually going to be a refurbished model from a year earlier. And that's a good option too. You just take a big risk with the keyboard, but you do save a lot of money there, and it's kind of the third thing in the shuffle. You have to consider it at least because it is it's a good system for a pretty cheap price. Anyways, at the end of the day, you got to make the decision. Anyways, thanks again for watching my videos. I make tons of tech videos on Apple products, PC products, and a whole range of other things like travel and finance. If you can subscribe to my channel, it's going to help me out. Talk to you soon. Thanks.